Right about now, we're going to discuss eating vegan with my next guest, Brooke Brimm. I don't have a long introduction. I've known Brooke for longer than I've known anyone in this room. And I'm glad that my first conversation about being vegan or vegetarianism, Brooke is my guest because with our history, we also have, I would say, a weird connection to the whole idea of eating vegetarian because of our religious background. We were both raised Seventh-day Adventists, where part of the health message involves eating vegetarian if you can. But I would say some of the quote-unquote health foods that Adventists are still eating today kind of loaded with sodium. So, Brooke is here to give us some pointers and to discuss eating vegan and vegetarian, and even to do a little taste test for those who might want to sample. So please help me welcome my next guest, Dr. Brooke Brimm. If you notice, I didn't call you Brookie.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, just in relation to what you're saying, my grandmother was a vegetarian for 50 years, and at about age 22 is when I started my what I call plant-dominant journey. Because since, I guess it's been about 30 some years, I've been either vegetarian, vegan, well, plant-based, 100% plant-based, raw plant-based, or pescatarian. So currently I'm 100% plant-based.
Okay, that's a long time without a cheeseburger.
A long time.
But and I knew what my very first question was going to be. Could you please explain the difference to all these people out here in the audience are brilliant people who already know, but I don't know. What's the difference between vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian?
So years ago, I would say before the early aughts or maybe late 90s, we used to have what we would call vegetarian. And so that would be vegetarian lacto-ovo, which you would say, well, do you eat cheese and eggs? And you would say, yeah, I do. Or no, I don't. And that person who didn't, we call that strict vegetarian. And then we call the person who ate eggs and cheese vegetarian. And then along came the word vegan. And vegan is really a more political term that is related to not living a lifestyle that harms animals. So part of that is being 100% plant-based. So that's why I say that I'm plant-dominant, not vegan. Because it's just, for me, it's too many politics involved, and I've been plant-dominant way before vegan became a popular term. So one thing that you find often in the Black community is that lots of plant-dominant people in the Black community call themselves plant-based because they don't want to get into the political aspect of veganism.
Okay.
So the way that I usually explain it is that I eat only vegan. So I'm not a vegan, but I only eat vegan, if that makes sense. So because veganism is way beyond just eating.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I just usually explain that. I have a Facebook group that's about 500,000, and my Instagram following is about 160,000. So lots of followers that are very interested in eating vegan food without being vegan and without even being 100% plant-based in their diet. But they're very, very interested in vegan foods and how to integrate that into their diets and their lifestyle, because when you think about eating vegan foods, a lot of times we think about taking things away. We think about removing meat. That's what most people think about.
Hey, I was born Adventist. You already know. Whenever somebody thinks about Adventist, what do they say? oh, you don't do this, you don't do that.
Right,
you don't
taking
do
everything,
that.
and yeah, and I'm not Seventh-day Adventist anymore, but yes, I get
So-
it. That's
so-
yeah, that is definitely what I grew up with. A bunch of don'ts, and yeah. So so people, a lot of people, a lot of people believe that that's what being plant-based is about, taking things away. But more than taking things away, you're actually adding a lot of important things into your diet. So if you decide to replace dairy, you want to replace that with something like nuts, cashews, maybe almonds. And those are monounsaturated fats, which are really important to add into your diet for things like lowering your bad cholesterol, things like that. So you're not just eliminating the dairy fat or the milk fat, you're also adding in maybe cashews or raw nuts that you wouldn't normally get when you do something like make a vegan cheese. Same thing with, maybe you're adding olive oil instead of bacon fat, and that's another monounsaturated fat. If you're adding in all kinds of different berries, those are superfoods, antioxidants. So it's not just about eliminating meat. It's also about like adding in things like antioxidants, fiber, lower, monounsaturated fats, things like that.